Hold on to your coils, nerds, ma. All right, buckle up and grab your lab goggles because we're diving into the legendary chaos and coil crackling charisma of Nikola freaking Tesla. Our story opens in 1891, back when electricity was still magic and everyone was terrified their mustache might catch fire. Tesla, the electric wizard of the age, took the stage at Columbia College like a rock star armed not with a guitar but with sparks, arcs, and enough voltage to toast a whale. His show? A lecture that lit up the American Institute of Electrical Engineers and probably fried a few monocles in the front row. Word of this electric spectacle spread like a wildfire through telegram wires and whispered gas lamp gossip across Europe. Did you hear? He zapped a wire and made lightning dance. So what does Tesla do? Packs his bags full of coils and ego and bolts to England in early 1892, dropping jaws at the Institution of Electrical Engineers and, just for kicks, the Royal Institution the very next day. The crowd? Positively electrified. The reviews? Shockingly good. Not one to let the sparks die down, Tesla hops over to France because why not fry a few circuits on the Champs-Élysées? He hits up the Société Internationale des Électriciens and the Société Française de Physique, just casually reblowing everyone's minds with the same techno-magic show. Flash forward to Eureka fall of 92. Tesla rolls back into town like a voltage-fueled messiah, and by February 1893, he's lighting up the Franklin Institute of Philadelphia like it's the 4th of July, only with less beer and more induced currents. Professor Houston had been begging for this show for ages, and Tesla finally delivers. Boom, promises kept. But wait, there's more. President James Orr of the National Electric Light Association, try fitting that on a business card, pulls the old, hey, can you do that whole electricity sorcery thing again in St. Louis? And Tesla, never one to say no to a standing ovation, obliges. The crowd, 5,000 people. That's basically Coachella for scientists. They had to move to a bigger hall because everyone and their candle-powered grandmother wanted in. And Tesla, because he doesn't do reruns, upgrades the act. More volts, more insanity, new experiments, less safety protocols. He wasn't just flexing his brain. He was redefining the edge of scientific reality like a madman with a lightning fetish. And now we begin the real journey. Tesla's lectures, the deep, dangerous, delicious details. Strap in. We're not in Edison's playground anymore. So here's the scoop. Tesla wasn't just tossing lightning bolts like Zeus on an espresso binge. He actually had a thought process. He starts with the idea that light is waves, not tiny particle bullets. Then he says, screw it, I'll prove it. And somehow, because he's Tesla, he does. Along the way, he stumbles into some seriously spooky territory, namely that all electrical and magnetic effects can be traced back to molecular freakouts. You heard that right. He's saying your toaster works because molecules are throwing tantrums, and the pièce de résistance, a flame that's powered by pure electrical vibes, no fuel, no matches, just raw molecular agitation. Basically, he created a goth campfire. Tesla's theory? Even chemical reactions might be electrostatic in nature, which means, yep, even your coffee machine might just be a glorified zap box. Oh, and remember when you were told buildings don't get struck by lightning during storms? Tesla's got receipts. Turns out his spooky electrostatic flame might explain why. Also, those ships that vanish at sea, he's not saying it's aliens, but it's probably electrified air anomalies. Then we get into the nitty-gritty. Tesla's electromagnetic flexes are so powerful they make weak effects look like ghosts of themselves, unless you're basically licking the disturbance source. But fire up one of Tesla's coils and bam! You're lighting tubes from across the room like some kind of voltage wizard. No wires, no electrodes. Just vibes. Literal vibes. Flip the page, and we're now cooking with high frequency, high potential alternating currents, baby. This is where Tesla really lets his mad scientist hair down. He's lighting up single filaments with enough style and swagger to make Thomas Edison sweat out his last patent. These aren't just experiments, they're a freaking disco of discovery. Thread like lightning, zigzagging discharges, enough high voltage trickery to make Frankenstein rise out of sheer admiration. But then comes the big boy lesson. Air insulation. Yep, Tesla's here to tell you that even the best electrical insulators get all dramatic under high tension, literally. When the air turns into an over-caffeinated riot of molecules, even the best ceramic is like, I'm out, and boom, insulation rupture. Moral of the story, don't trust air, especially if it's been near a Tesla coil, and that's just the beginning. We're still warming up, the volts are rising, the sparks are flying, and Tesla's just getting started frying our collective understanding of reality like a bug under a magnifying glass. Now at this point, we're talking about charged air becoming a light show, glowing streams shooting between electrified surfaces like the universe is tossing glow sticks at a rave. These aren't just pretty sparks either. Tesla notes that pinwheels spin, terminals dance, and even metal balls erupt with electric fanfare if the frequency is high enough. But wait, Tesla's not done flexing yet. He pivots hard into the nitty-gritty. The self-induction and capacity of the coils matter. And when you start mixing in condensers with alternating currents, boom, you get practicable dimensions instead of giant, laughably inefficient behemoths. Oh, and apparently high-frequency alternating currents need special insulators with low inductance and sky-high insulation power. Fancy words for don't skimp on your materials, or your lab's going to glow in the dark for the wrong reasons. Now get this, Tesla drops a hot take on iron. Not the Iron Man kind, the magnetic kind. He says you can make your iron more efficient in transformers by tickling it with magnetism until it just can't hold back anymore. He wants to get iron so hyped up on magnetic fields that it becomes a conductor of pure efficiency. This might sound like metal yoga, but it's real. He's optimizing permeability like it's a sport. Even eddy currents and hysteresis get a shout out as ways to fine-tune the metal's mood. And now the pièce de résistance. Tesla gets a filament to glow without it getting hot. That's right, he's got a lamp shining bright like a lighthouse in a ghost story. But the filament remains cool as a cucumber. This isn't just weird, it's impedance sorcery. Tesla makes your average electrical engineer look like a kid with a potato battery. His method of using induction coils to stir up massive voltages from tiny setups. That's how we get compact devices with the power to shake atoms. Tesla isn't just playing with big flashy arcs, he's refining small-scale devices that can hit like a thunderclap in a test tube. Finally, the text gets sentimental. Tesla delivered this knowledge bomb twice. Once in New York and again in London. The latter crowd, including Lord Rayleigh, basically fanboyed out. Because make no mistake, Tesla is Faraday's heir, rolling in with unmatched style and scientific muscle. But even with all his brilliance, the text admits, trying to summarize Tesla's work in a few paragraphs is like trying to bottle a lightning storm. You can't skim Tesla. You've got to study him like a sacred manuscript written in volts and vibrations. Our man's London again, where Tesla flexes by talking about how damn hard it is to build machines that can survive very high frequencies without shaking themselves to pieces or accidentally launching into space. He needed alternators spinning so fast they made curious noises, a Victorian euphemism for it sounded like the devil clearing his throat. The iron cores would heat up, the windings would scream, and frankly, the whole setup was a mechanical nightmare. But did Tesla stop? Hell no, he built them anyway, because that's how mad geniuses roll. Now here's a spicy nugget. Tesla found that when high-frequency currents flow, objects start to attract or repel each other in weird ways. He describes how a piece of iron surrounded by a coil would feel like it's vibrating under your fingers, even if it wasn't physically moving. It's like the iron is getting tickled by invisible hands. Creepy? Yes, but also a clear sign that molecules are getting rowdy at the micro level. But wait, there's a more sizzling science. Conductors carrying these insane currents get superheated. Tesla reports a thin iron wire gets so hot it glows in just 2 seconds flat, with only 5 amps coursing through it. That's toaster-level heat, folks, except cranked to instant molten core mode. Even finely shredded iron isn't safe. It heats up like it's auditioning for a fireworks show. Flipping over, we get to Tesla's deep dive into the mystical magic of condensers. He talks about adjusting self-induction and capacity to amplify effects, turning simple machines into electromagnetic war drums. By fine-tuning these components, Tesla could push machines to generate striking visual effects like arcs and sparks that make today's EDM light shows look tame. And now the real cherry on this electric sundae, the temporal effects of current tension. When Tesla pushes the machine's output to the brink, the electrodes start behaving like they're alive, each one having a personality, reacting differently, showing peculiar behaviors at high frequencies. It's like they're arguing about who gets to fire off the next lightning bolt. He even touches on the physiological effects of these high-tension discharges. Turns out, the shock from these coils is so mild that you could, get this, shock a person or an animal without frying them. The arc might look terrifying, but it's more bark than bite. He compares it to the static shock you get petting your cat, only, supercharged and sciency. And this, dear voltage junkies, is Tesla's idea of foreplay before we get into the really wild stuff. Our man's London again, where Tesla flexes by talking about how damn hard it is to build machines that can survive very high frequencies without shaking themselves to pieces or accidentally launching into space. He needed alternators spinning so fast they made curious noises, a Victorian euphemism for it sounded like the devil clearing his throat. The iron cores would heat up, the windings would scream, and frankly, the whole setup was a mechanical nightmare. But did Tesla stop? Hell no, he built them anyway, because that's how mad geniuses roll. Now here's a spicy nugget. Tesla found that when high-frequency currents flow, objects start to attract or repel each other in weird ways. He describes how a piece of iron surrounded by a coil would feel like it's vibrating under your fingers, even if it wasn't physically moving. It's like the iron is getting tickled by invisible hands. Creepy? Yes, but also a clear sign that molecules are getting rowdy at the micro level. But wait, there's more sizzling science. Conductors carrying these insane currents get superheated. Tesla reports a thin iron wire gets so hot it glows in just 2 seconds flat, with only 5 amps coursing through it. That's toaster level heat, folks, except cranked to instant molten core mode. Even finely shredded iron isn't safe. It heats up like it's auditioning for a fireworks show. Flipping over, we get to Tesla's deep dive into the mystical magic of condensers. He talks about adjusting self-induction and capacity to amplify effects, turning simple machines into electromagnetic war drums. By fine-tuning these components, Tesla could push machines to generate striking visual effects like arcs and sparks that make today's EDM light shows look tame. And now the real cherry on this electric sundae, the temporal effects of current tension. When Tesla pushes the machine's output to the brink, the electrodes start behaving like they're alive, each one having a personality, reacting differently, showing peculiar behaviors at high frequencies. It's like they're arguing about who gets to fire off the next lightning bolt. He even touches on the physiological effects of these high-tension discharges. Turns out the shock from these coils is so mild that you could get this, shock a person or an animal without frying them. The arc might look terrifying, but it's more bark than bite. He compares it to the static shock you get petting your cat, only, supercharged and sciency. And this, dear voltage junkies, is Tesla's idea of foreplay before we get into the really wild stuff. So now, Tesla's like, hey, what if we just keep varying the frequency and cranking the juice to see what the coils do? Spoiler, they go nuts. He documents 5 distinct types of electrical discharge, from timid, weak sparks that are basically static's shy cousin, all the way to raging flame like brushes of ozone-pumping glory. Naturally, it's the wild ones that Tesla loves best. Now, here's where it gets spicy. Under certain conditions, these electric streams get so amped up that they start slicing through thick insulation like a lightsaber through butter. It's not magic, it's physics, baby. The air itself gets so violently agitated that the tiniest gap becomes a high-voltage gateway of molecular mayhem. In layman's terms, the air becomes a punk rocker and stops caring about your puny insulation. Tesla also whipped up this metal vane contraption, spinning it in a high-frequency coil's embrace. The result? The vane rotates like it's haunted purely from the electrostatic rage of the coil. This wasn't some small lab curiosity either. Tesla was pushing the boundaries of what electricity could do, messing with rotational forces, collisions, and generally causing polite Victorian scientists to sweat nervously. Then there's the hot streamer effect. At about 10,000 volts, the streamer gets hot. Not ouch hot, but why does my lab smell like burning ozone? Hot. We're talking molecular collisions on overdrive. Tesla straight up admits, if you push the potential hard enough, even a brush discharge turns into an electric flamethrower. On the right-hand page, Tesla's dropping even more hard truths. He found that discharging condensers at these frequencies produced insane currents that made copper bars sweat, lights burn without wires, and molecular ozone parties happen spontaneously. He's not even doing this with giant industrial gear, just clever tweaks of existing coils. Tesla was basically hacking reality with capacitors and condensers. But wait, he's not just here to burn down the lab. He's inventing efficient methods to convert high-tension oscillating discharges into smooth, usable currents. Translation, turning chaotic light in chaos into power you could actually run a factory on. He even cracks the code on converting high frequency to low frequency power, making Tesla tech actually practical. Of course, none of this became easy. Tesla battled air bubbles, insulation breakdowns, and all sorts of stubborn physics. He literally had to vacuum seal his wires with gutta percha and oil to keep the air from betraying him. And let's not forget the Sprengel pump, because when your experiments are this nuts, a glorified turkey baster for air removal becomes a vital part of the process. Bottom line, Tesla proving that with enough volts, persistence, and a healthy disregard for conventional safety, you can make molecules dance, metal spin, and reality flinch. All right, so here's the setup. Tesla's tweaking coils, terminals, and shiny brass spheres like a madman. The moment he dials it all in, boom, streams of light start stretching across the room, illuminating objects with that eerie, otherworldly glow. Wires that were previously just sitting there become shimmering lines of liquid electricity, regardless of their insulation. He's not even trying to hide the fact that he's making solid matter glow with sheer electromagnetic defiance. Tesla's like, hey, what if we just connect two big circles of wire, add a sphere, and hit it with more juice? The result? A floating, focused, luminous cone. And because Tesla doesn't do halfway, he takes it further by firing these streams onto plates coated with tinfoil. The payoff? Instant ghostly light shows. Basically, he's creating homemade aurora borealis on command. But wait, there's more. Even tiny coils with rubber or glass plates get in on the action, producing streams, threads, and brilliant sparks that'd make any Victorian parlor explode with excitement and possibly, actual explosions. Now, here's a spicy tidbit. When you crank the frequency up high enough, Tesla observed white phantom-like streams just bursting forth, as if the wires themselves got tired of sitting still. These electric apparitions didn't even care. If there was an object to jump to, they just wanted out. And get this, you could approach the terminal without getting zapped because most of the energy was tied up in these ethereal streamers. It's like the electricity was more interested in showing off than frying you. On the next page, Tesla digs into how the frequency of these sparks changes the whole game. Low frequencies? Meh, slow and steady sparks. But when you hit the gas and crank the frequency, the sparks come rapid fire, smooth and clean, transitioning from sluggish pops to high-speed molecular rave parties. Purple hues give way to blinding white brilliance as potential rises. And here's where Tesla drops the cosmic hammer. He connects these lab-born phenomena to the aurora borealis. Yep, he's saying that what he's doing in his lab is the same basic deal as the northern light, just on a slightly smaller and less frozen scale. Disturbances like solar eruptions create violent molecular agitation, just like his coils do, leading to the spectacular celestial light shows we love. But Tesla isn't done flexing. He theorizes that these atmospheric breakdowns, when the upper air layers get too rowdy, are similar to what happens in his high-frequency experiments. He even hints that earthquakes and lightning might share this molecular vibration ancestry. Tesla wasn't just making sparks for show. He was revealing the hidden language of the universe, one discharge at a time. When you're dealing with high-frequency, high-potential madness, solid insulators aren't enough. Tesla found that oil baths were the way to go, not for a relaxing soak, but to keep pesky air bubbles out of the way. Because once air gets cocky and starts forming bubbles, those little punks create weak spots. The molecules get agitated, slam against the insulator walls, and boom, unplanned lightning where you really didn't want it. But wait, Tesla being Tesla wasn't satisfied. He thought, what if we ditch oil and use solid plates instead? Spoiler. The air, feeling left out, still found a way to get rowdy and burn through the insulation. So, yeah, back to oil baths. Sometimes even genius has to respect the stubbornness of air. As for safety, Tesla's like, we're not just doing this for kicks, people. Excluding gaseous matter isn't just about avoiding a lab fireball, it's also about saving power. All that stray electric density floating around? Yeah, it's a waste of good juice. Now, flip to the right page for the main event. The electric brush phenomenon. This is Tesla's version of a cosmic feather duster, a luminous misty haze forming around a small bulb when the setup is just right. Imagine a glowing ghost brush that floats, spins, and responds to your every move. That's the vibe. Tesla noticed that this brush would react dramatically to even small disturbances. Walk past it, the brush flies to the opposite side. Wave your hand, the brush dances away like it's playing hard to get. Bring in a magnet. Oh, now you're cooking. The brush starts spinning like a possessed disco ball. But here's the kicker. The rotation speed of this brush syncs up with Earth's magnetic field. Yeah, you read that right. Tesla's lab toy is suddenly behaving like a miniature planet, rotating in rhythm with geomagnetic lines. He even describes how you could reverse its rotation with clever magnet placement or slow it down just by approaching it from the right angle. When the bulb hangs with the globe down, it spins one way. Flip hemispheres, spins the other. This thing is basically a DIY Coriolis effect in a light bulb. Tesla could manipulate its speed, direction, and sensitivity to an absurd degree, all while the Victorian scientific community probably sat there, jaws on the floor, wondering how reality was bending in front of them. Well, there you go. Tesla built a spinning, glowing, magnetically sensitive, air bubble hating electric brush of wonder. And this was just him warming up.